So when the sequester happens, and when Republicans feel the heat from the White House and the mainstream media, will the GOP keep its backbone? Okay, this is going to be so difficult. I don't think anybody's convinced yet. What did Speaker Boehner mean when he wrote in the Wall Street Journal op-ed today? I'm going to quote directly for our guest. He said, quote, "A week from now, a dramatic new federal policy is set to go into effect that threatens U.S. national security, thousands of jobs, and more." Whoa, that sounds like President Obama's argument. That's why I didn't get it, much as I admire Boehner. I got to talk about this. In fact, I got to talk about it with one of the best economists in the House, Texas Republican Congressman and Vice Chair of the Joint Economic Committee, Kevin Brady. Actually, Kevin, aren't you the chairman of the Joint Economic Committee now?
I am incoming chairman, yes.
All right, well, that is good to hear. But I didn't understand. What's Mr. Boehner saying? Threatens national security, thousands of jobs and more? That's what President Obama is saying. What message is Boehner sending? You explain this to me.
Look, I think part of the challenge is that these cuts aren't designed the way we would want them. We are worried, of course, about the cuts in national defense. But overall, for us, this issue is about growth. Put this in perspective. If the economy were a football field, these spending cuts are one step on that field. We've tried, I think the crowd that said, let's spend it, let's stimulate, let's borrow the money for the economy, had their chance. They failed. Unemployment's higher today than it was when the president took office. We've 3 million jobs still short. And so I think these cuts need to occur.
You're right. Look, the whole point of the exercise is limited government is pro-growth. Limited government and spending cuts like a tax cut. That's what Milton Friedman said. But why didn't the speaker say that? This is so dark and dreary. People are asking today, Kevin Brady, because of what Mr. Boehner said and this odd message, which sounds like the president, are asking if the Republicans are going to stay with the sequester. You only got a week to go or so.
The Republicans are going to stay with the sequester. It's a small step toward getting our budget balanced again. It will tell the business community that has trillions of dollars sitting on the sidelines that it is a bit safer now to invest than it was before. And I think the speaker was basically saying after these cuts occur, there's an opportunity to make some redesigns to provide some flexibility, but we're going forward with this. This is a small but important step.
So, Representative Brady, this is Jared Bernstein. So, do you disagree with Leader Boehner on the points that he made that Larry quoted a minute ago? The idea that these cuts compromise national security, cost lots of jobs, furlough lots of military folks. I mean, do you fundamentally disagree with that? And if you do, please explain why. And if you don't, how come that's okay with you?
You know, I think the speaker was quoting directly from President Obama's Secretary of Defense, who warned him about what the impacts the way this was designed. I don't know what the president responded to him, since it was the president's ideas to make
So you disagree
these cuts.
with the speaker's numbers, I think you're saying.
You know, at this point, I actually believe the strongest signal we can send for the economy is to go forward with these spending cuts. We can argue later about the flexibility within the agencies, but I think this is critical. And I think, too, the business community is wondering, you know, is Congress, is White House ever serious about getting our financial house in order? This is the first step toward it.
All right, Congressman, I've got an old friend of yours, former House member Nan Hayworth, right here. Tough questioner.
Hi, Kevin.
Take it easy on me, Nan.
Well, thank you for everything you're doing for every single American. But my question for you is, as you know, the pressure on the House Republicans especially is going to be to compromise. And what I'd like to, in order to work with the president, if he should become adamant about revenue increases instead of the sequester, how are you going to address that question of the GOP?
You know, tax revenues are off the table. The truth of the matter is the president had his chance during the fiscal cliff. They had the bases loaded all 9 innings. They scored 1 run, and now they want some extra at-bats, extra innings for higher taxes. It's not going to happen. And the truth of the matter is that Republicans in the House are determined to close tax loopholes, but we're not going to do it to fuel more of the president's spending. We're going to do it to lower rates for families and businesses. That, too, will help the economy grow.
I would just say, Kevin, just as a parting thought, I think the messaging here should be pro-growth. And I think you have every right to say, Jared won't agree with me, I get that, and a lot of Democrats won't agree, but you have every right to say that limited government is pro-growth, and that, in fact, we saw that spending to GDP come down during the Clinton years with good growth, during the Reagan years with good growth, all the way back to post-World War II with good growth. And I think you all need a growth message. I think it's too austere. I really do.
I agree, and I'll tell you that's what Main Street is saying as well, and they're not going to start hiring again until we remove some of the roadblocks, including this terrible deficit crisis we're in.
Congressman Kevin Brady, thank you ever so much, sir. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.